you live from the Hellmouth. It's a popular cinema podcast. I'm your co-host Kane,
I'm Bill.
and welcome to episode 48. We live.
We are alive.
You know, part of it when I was starting the cue and the music, I was half expecting you to just like jam in and go, "What's going on? What's happening? Are we starting? Are we recording?" I
Are
could
we
sense
sure
you
it's
wanted to
episode
do
48?
that.
I kind of thought it was 49, but we'll go with 48.
I think it's 48, Bill.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of going for my last thing. You know, I think I need a third monitor. That's what as
Really?
I'm sitting here. Yeah, a third monitor. One
Why
to
why
hold
would
up.
you need three? What's wrong with two? I
You
don't
can't take
understand why
over
you
the
need
world.
two.
You can't take over the world with two monitors. Okay, I think I
Okay.
need three. One to
All
hold
right.
up the script. One to hold up all my fancy keyboard noise like this. You know.
I'm sure Ubid has something for you.
Wait, what?
I'm sure Ubid has something for you.
Well, on my next setup, I'm going to have three monitors. I'm telling you that right now. Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I know we were to do something different for episode 48, and I'm still up for doing it, but I figured I'd just send you some sort of like loose script of some things that were happening. I know we were just going to just go with with a stream of consciousness and let's just kind of chat it out. I'm still up for that. Um, you appear to be awaking from your nap. Are you up for doing the show?
I'm up for doing the show, but I didn't actually read the email because I thought we were just gonna do it on the fly. But
Oh no! We don't read it then. We could do it on the fly. I have some things that I figured I'd want to throw out there. Is that okay or not okay?
sure, that's fine. I mean,
I think you're better just working from like I don't know, like you're just waking up, you're just
off the
walking into
cuff.
studio. What do they call that? Improv.
Okay, ad lib, improv.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you ever ad lib when you were on stage, or was Miss Downey like
I think
always
all my
cracking the whip
roles were
with you?
scripted, but I might have forgotten a few lines, so I might have had to ad lib a couple times. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Do you think you're a good improver?
It depends on the situation. If I'm comfortable, yeah, I could probably do better.
Okay. Well, I'd like to give a shout out to our listeners out there. Our Black Panther episode 47, was highly downloaded, Bill.
When you say highly, does that mean more than 12? Less than
Absolutely.
100?
How dare you? How it's so disrespectful to our show. You're
No,
you're
I'm
just
not disrespecting. I just realized that we play to a niche audience, so I
we've
recognize
actually
that.
got more than a couple downloads in the UK.
Okay,
We're
perhaps
international.
word is spreading.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. I'm hoping that they're actually downloading for us and not just because it had Black Panther in our title episode.
I wouldn't worry about that too much. I don't think Black Panther is really going to be sweeping the nation on its own merits. It's just a
And
feeling.
that's how we know that you're crabby with the negativity.
I'm just saying. I think that there's been some issues already brought up about the whole Black Panther. I think I read last week that Black Panther was the most disliked YouTube video of all the MCU trailer videos on YouTube.
Oh, get out of town. Are you serious with that?
I believe that is accurate.
Who compiled the statistics on that one?
I don't know, but I read it on my Twitter, so it must be true.
All right, your Twitter doesn't lie. I mean, Did you see did you see this article? You didn't see this because I just pulled this up, which is what we said we would do. We just pull up some sort of entertainment websites and just shoot from the hip. But
Sure.
this one popped up on my Yahoo feed, and I believe you probably know about this, but obviously I didn't. I don't think it's fake news. It was the story behind why Disney let Marvel make Spider-Man for Sony. And
It was on Wall Street Journal yesterday. I read it. I considered sending it to you, but I re-thought about it because I don't feel particularly in agreement with the article, and I'm a little bit irritated about it.
okay, well, let me read the article and then you give me your 2 cents on what you think is different then. This article that I'm reading, which I found on Screen Rant, purports to sit there and say that um, this is about over 2 years ago that Sony reached a landmark agreement with Marvel to share Spider Man while retaining the rights to the character, thereby allowing the superhero to appear in the MCU. However, the agreement was that any solo Spider Man movie would be made for Sony Pictures and not Disney. So the question, what was Disney getting out of it? Well, in 2011, Disney was able to recover the merchandising rights to Spider Man while Sony still retained the movie rights. So it looks like that the Mouse House was getting all the toy revenue, and then Sony would be able to rake in the movie revenue. And the fact is, Sony would still have to pay for Marvel making their movie. And this article goes on to say that they make a shit ton of money from toys. And in fact, they said they made 760 million from just Star Wars toys in 2016 alone. So it looks like nobody's doing anybody a favor. It's just that this seems to be a way to maximize profits. And by putting Sony, Spider-Man, and Disney stuff, they're able to sell a shit ton. I don't have the figures here, but all right, you don't. I found that to be enlightening. What about yourself? You have a different view on it?
The article oversimplifies the whole licensing agreement. First of all,
Okay.
the way they're doing it is Sony is getting the movie rights, the movie profits, the benefits from making the movie. Well, which because they're paying for making the movie also.
I'm
Marvel
with you.
gets the licensing rights to the merchandise, which is profitable, true. However, it paints a picture in the article that that's the only reason they're making the movie is because they want to capitalize on the merchandising rights.
That's what Perlmutter would say, I would think.
Well, Perlmutter's not in charge anymore. So, also, I think that Spider-Man is much more important to Marvel's overall development of their film slate than just merchandising. So, I do think it oversimplifies the fact that Spider-Man is a essential part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's not just that they're doing it because they get the toy money. They're doing it because he's a very important cog in the wheel of their cinematic.
Are you suggesting that Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I want to be James Bond in the future, is the RDJ of the future?
I do. I actually do.
So you think they're propping up him to actually take over the lead of ushering these new movies in the future after Avengers Infinity War?
I do. I really do.
Wow.
Which
Okay.
is why they hired a nobody, which is why they put him back in high school, which is why they have this long-term plan to make umpteen Spider-Man movies, and also why, again, now that we're back to it's confirmed, it's unconfirmed, it's reconfirmed, it's triple confirmed. Kevin Feige has said unequivocally that Tom Holland will not be lent out to be in the Sony Spider Verse movies once and for all.
I just have enough knowledge to be dangerous. I've been tainted by you. I, what I want to believe that it's all about the cash. You're kind of dancing around that you're kind of upselling it like there's a more artistic value to why they're what's the word, collaborating on this whole thing. The whole
Sure.
idea that Spider-Man is very valuable to their future and he's a great character and it will enhance future stories, as opposed to it's just that we need Spider-Man because we can sell a shit ton of toys with him.
Yeah,
I'm,
that's not really it.
yeah, I'm kind of going with the profits and the merchandise sales.
I understand, but as anyone who goes to the toy aisle on a regular basis, and as anyone who's looked for the Spider-Man Homecoming action figure, the deluxe version that the adult collectors will be collecting, which isn't even released yet, really, for the premium format figure, I don't know that the merchandising is paramount to them. I would think it's not important, but if they were only after the merchandising, they would have had those toys in the stores months ago. And I'm still not finding them for the deluxe versions. Now they've got the kids versions, the giant versions. They've got a lot of versions, but the deluxe figure, the one that the hardcore fans are going to be after, that's nowhere to be found. And I've been at Toys R Us every day for the last 2 weeks.
Wow. You know something? Spider-Man has a huge gallery of like villains,
Sure.
and there's some other like co-heroes in his universe. I guess Marvel's not rushing over there to grab them either, huh? They've kind of already picked over the bones and said we just want Spider-Man. We're not really interested in anybody else that you got over there in that world of yours. I
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, they could be interested, but I don't think that Sony is going to be jumping off the rights since they've already announced their sort of spin-off Venom universe films, which, again, they've been back and forth with. Last week we were talking about Amy Pascal and how she basically said that it's all one world and one can cross over to the other. And Kevin Feige again has put the kibosh on that, saying no, Tom's not going to be involved in
This is
that
hilarious
universe.
at a lot of different levels here because the Mouse House has the Spider-Man merchandise rights, and Sony's over there fucking up their brand by making shitty movies with what's his name, Jamie Foxx. So they're just like, you know what, we've got to do this right. Let's just step in, take over, and create this movie so we can like make sure that our toys are selling. Because right now, what they're doing over there is just fucking up our shit. You can see it.
Again, I disagree that it's about selling toys.
Well, I mean, if you own the rights to it, and then Sony can't put out a Spider-Man movie, I know you disagree on that, but clearly they changed directions. I
Sure,
mean,
they change directions, but because it breaks down financially in that direction doesn't mean that's all they care about. I don't believe that. They have crafted 13 films and have drafted 10 more. And I think Spider Man is an important part of their universe, and they were very happy to get him back beyond happy to sell Happy Meal toys. I don't believe that.
okay, all right, fair enough. So let's move on. I mean, in the past 2 weeks, we've had a few things that popped up here. The Inhumans trailer has popped up.
Yeah, it did.
Oh boy, yeah, that's not the sound of excitement. Who's running the Inhumans? What is that part of? Is that part of
The,
Marvel? What is that?
it's part of Marvel TV, which is the same showrunner who did Iron Fist is doing Inhumans.
Oh, oh. Bill, I took the time to actually look up the names of these people who are playing the Inhuman stars.
Hmm.
Um, we've got Anson Mount as Black Bolt,
Hotness.
Serinda Swan as Medusa,
Eh,
Ken Long as Karnak,
nah,
Isabel Cornish as Crystal.
eh.
Now, here's one I actually looked up on YouTube how to pronounce his name. It's Emmy Ickwalker. He plays Gorgon.
Is that the black dude or the brother?
It's the black dude. But
Who's the
I was
brother?
kind of confused when you said brother too, because I thought it was like sort of like that seems like a synonym. You're a
Yeah,
brother, a
no,
black
not
dude.
the bro. I'm talking about
Yes, that is the
Black
black
Bolt's
guy.
brother.
Okay.
All right, who's Black
His
Bolt's
name
brother?
is wait. His name
Eon,
is Ewan Rion.
and
He plays
he was the
Maximus.
guy that was in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, we all know him. Love to hate him.
Well, I've never seen episode one. Well, actually, I lie. I have seen the Red Wedding episode because you made me watch it at your house one time. But I don't understand after watching the trailer for Inhumans. And honestly, my biggest problem with the trailer is that guy. Because I feel like every word out of his mouth is like super fake. And it doesn't sound
You're
believable.
joking. You're
No,
absolutely joking.
I don't. I don't think he's good. I think he's kind of bad from the trailer.
I mean, you watch soap operas. You're
Yeah,
telling me
I
he's bad?
do. I'm just saying, I mean, in the world, in the trailer, I feel like he's very sort of
One note.
one note and not believable and sort of phony acting ish. And I don't like the trailer in the first place, and he's really if I like the least things about the trailer, he's really at the top of the list. I think he's just not great.
It's interesting. I'm thinking he's probably the only thing that's holding that whole group together. That whole
And I'm
TV
go I'm
series.
going with Lockjaw. If you're
You're going
asking
with
me
the
what
dog.
I'm going with the dog who at the end of the trailer turns his head and goes "Roo, roo," and looks super cute. That is pretty much
See,
the gist of it.
this sometimes I feel like I'm working with simpletons on this show. That's exactly how I feel sometimes when you say things like
Okay.
that.
You're
That's the
entitled.
highlight of the 2 minute trailer was the dog at the end kind of rolling over and throwing out his tongue.
Well, it wasn't Black Bolt who doesn't say anything, although he looks mighty fine in that black costume. But that's not really a reason to watch an hour-long show for 8 weeks. Um, it's not Medusa, whose head looks like a big giant fake mop of CG. It's not the brother who is from Game of Thrones, who really kind of doesn't know how to act to me. It's not the Chinese guy with the tattoos on his face, who's just like Chinese guy with tattoos on face. And it's not the black guy who doesn't have any dialogue. And it's not the effects, and it's not the sets, because that all looks like a bunch of CG sci-fi nonsense. So, if it's not the dialogue or the script or the characters, the actors, or the costumes, I'm left with the dog.
You
I
know,
personally
I
think it's going to stink from the trailer. Also, I have to say this I am relieved that it's only got 8 episodes as a show. Because honestly, I think I will probably end up liking it because if that follows the pattern of how I feel about these Marvel trailers, always I will like the show, hate the trailer. However, I do think we're getting into territory where there's too much of it out there, and I think an 8 episode run is just enough to get me wedded to taste a little bit of that of Inhumans corner of the Marvel verse without asking me to commit to like 22 episodes or yet another Marvel property, which we've got them coming out every fucking pore of our bodies anymore. So thank
Bill, I
heavens for
can't
small
disagree with
miracles.
you. A lot of what you're saying is, I figure this is in your wheelhouse. I mean,
And it probably
obviously.
will. I will probably end up enjoying it more than I think I will. But at this point, there are just too many. There's too many, and
I, obviously, I don't think I hated the brother, as you keep calling, Ewan Rion's Maximus. I actually
whatevs.
thought that was, the dog was pretty cool of how he teleported Black Bolt out of the way in the trailer. But
Did
I
you
felt
did you
as
think that
though,
that was like 2017 effects? Did you think that was like, ooh
well,
yeah?
you know what? I'm kind of put it on par that it's a TV show, and I don't know if I expect to have $200 million effects. I like the concept of the dog whisking in and teleporting him, though. It's like Heroes. I understand that they can't do much. They have to be a little bit more creative. I'm willing to accept that. What I can't accept is that the sets that they were showing, the backgrounds, they look so sparse. Like there was just nothing like white walls. It was like they were in some sort of like new building complex with no furniture, and they're walking around, and it seemed lifeless. No type of color, no type of pop. And I don't know how you have it with Black Bolt, which is a very cool character in the comic books. The man's not going to talk. So Maximus has to carry it and do all the talking in this trailer. And then all these other ancillary characters, there's just something that's just boring about them from the trailer. It looks as though they're non essential, even though they should be essential. And lastly, I just watched it again this morning. This whole scene where it concludes with Black Bolt running in the street from the police. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm over the commentary, like of the police beating the individual, the wrong individual. I mean, I've seen this scene like a million times now.
Is this a Black Lives Matter thing?
Well, I'm just saying anymore. With the way they filmed the scene, they got like seven cops surrounding an individual beating you with batons. I mean, we did this like in The Matrix. We've done this in a few other shows, and it's supposed to be some sort of like, oh, it's current. Look, the cops are beating up a wrong individual. Black Bolt's supposed to be a hero, and so it's this whole. It's weak. What I'm saying is, it's just weak. It's not original. And what's even worse for about me is I don't understand as to why he can't just knock off the human people. So I know what you're going to say, that maybe he's been drugged, or maybe in transport he was weakened. I don't know. I don't know why my
Did you
heroes
see the
always
end of
have
the
to be.
trailer when he's exhaling and the cop car goes flying down the street and turns over? Did you see that
Yeah,
part?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that one. Yeah. The
Maybe he's
cops are
trying.
still hitting him, and he's reacting to be hitting with batons by lesser individuals than himself.
Maybe he's not trying to annihilate everyone just because he can. It's just a guess.
Listen,
But
do you recall watching Batman versus Superman when Batman would punch Superman in the face, and his gloved metal fists would just crumble? Yeah, I would expect the same out of Black Bolt. To be quite honest with you, I don't expect Black Bolt to be hit with the baton and go, oh, ow, ow. Okay, I just don't.
so when you go like this, when you're running up the step and you go, do you expect like the walls to crumble and the fucking field next door to like go flat from
Listen, I
hay
I I
or
I
meat
can't
or
with you.
whatever?
I can't with you. I'm going with the rules of the world. If the character is supposed to be super strong and have super speed, then somebody should not be able to hit him with a baton and he reacts to it. I'm sorry. These are the rules of the universe, Bill. I don't make
That's
them up.
fine. That's fine. I'm looking forward to seeing the movie in IMAX. In the commercial or the pilot or the trailer or whatever, it says filmed in IMAX cameras September 1st, and then the series itself premieres September 29th.
Are those IMAX cameras going to be adding some sort of color to the walls
I
and
don't know if
making
it's
the film?
color that it's missing. I think it's, again, maybe they spent all the money on the CG dog who, can teleport, I
Oh,
guess. I
oh,
don't know.
that's
I'm
interesting.
underwhelmed, but again, this is,
When does it hit TV then? When do we get to see it on television? Because
September
I'm not
29th.
going to see IMAX. Where nobody's
I
going to go see it in
I am.
IMAX.
September 29th.
Mm. I'll be indisposed on September 29th.
Of course you will. But I this is part of the trepidation I have about Marvel taking over everything. Like, the more they make, the more they produce, the more ancillary networks they put the shit on, the less special it becomes, and the more pedestrian it is. Like Cloak and Dagger looks pedestrian, and the Netflix shows are pretty pedestrian in most respects for me. So I don't know. I'm wary about them watering down the whole universe by making subpar material with this stuff.
Listen, this is going to happen. the biggest game in town is superheroes. We all know this. It's going to
Sure.
happen. Everybody's trying to get out there, make their own superhero universes. It's going to happen. Everybody's the watering down is already going on, and it's only going to get worse. And by the way, I've had this discussion with you that once Squirrel Girl gets made, okay, that's the end of the world right there. That's the rapture, okay? Because everybody's just pulling up characters and they're going to throw them in some shit and say that they're heroes and hope that all the masses that go see Superman and Batman will just go see this one because it's a superhero.
Well, for my personal,
there's no quality control, and
I can
everybody
only
wants
be
in on the cash.
I can only be responsible for my investment personally. And up until now, I've been personally invested in just about every Marvel Cinematic Universe property, even the Netflix ones that I don't love, um, with the exception of Legion, probably. I think we're approaching an era or a time frame where I'm going to probably have to start doing what I do with the DCEU and the DC TV shows, where on a case by case basis, I'm going to have to decide if that show is worthy of my weekly attention. And just because it has MCU stamped on it doesn't mean it's going to get my loyalty. So, I'm willing to give it all a fair shot. It's more than I would give a lot of shows that come along because they don't have any connection to something that's larger for me. But the more they make and the less special it becomes, the more picky and choosy I'm going to have to be, because I'm not going to watch something just because it has MCU on it if it doesn't interest me. So.
Liar.
No, it's true. It's true. If Cloak and Dagger comes around and Cloak and Dagger's like pedestrian, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not. I'm really not. And if this show comes along and it's not that interesting to me, I'm not going to watch it either. I mean, I've proven that already by eliminating all of the Greg Berlanti DC shows from my wheelhouse. I don't watch any of those. And I don't watch Legion either. And I've tried all of them, except for Legion of Tomorrow, which by the time they got to that one, I was over it. So.
You have that golden calf of Kevin Feige in your house that you pray to every night.
Kevin Feige, by the way, doesn't have anything to do with MCU TV shows, by the way. It's a whole different division.
Maybe he needs to, based on what I just saw with the Inhumans trailer.
Well, maybe he does.
But
I will say, of all the MCU properties, I'm willing to give this one a bigger chance because it's by ABC, who does Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that is one of my favorites. So if they can give me a little bit more flavor than Netflix, even though the trailer sucks, and it seems like it skewers a little bit more fun to the fun side, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., than the Marvel Netflix shows, then I'm not going to say I won't. If I like it, I like it. But I'm going to do it on a case by case, not necessarily just giving everything a grand swath of acceptance because it has MCU in it.
Outside of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., do you watch anything else on ABC?
No. Yeah, well, I mean, I watched Blackish and the Goldbergs.
Okay, all right. Well, that's more than a couple then. I feel like ABC somehow, when I think of it like old people on like Twitter. I mean, on Facebook.
That's CBS. CBS is called the Tiffany Network because it's like old people.
Okay, well, I find that all those stations outside of NBC for some reason. Don't ask me why, but ABC, CBS, I just feel as though like that's some sort of like kiddie land. Like it's beneath me.
Well, that's rich considering that when you were growing up, you had ABC, NBC, and CBS, and PBS if you had rabbit ears that were lucky enough to get the Akron channel, like the rest of us. So now, all of a sudden, because you can afford cable and...
Oh, it's not a price thing. It's just a quality thing. There's just so many things like it surpassed. Those were the kings of the block at the time. But now I've got like Amazon Prime. Now I've got HBO. I've got Netflix.
Name 2 shows on each of those networks that you watch every week without fail and can't wait to get to.
I don't work under pressure that way right
Uh-huh.
there. I've got a
Okay.
few things in my queue right now for Netflix. I got House of Cards. I just finished watching Orange is the New Black. There's Wentworth on there now. I'm going to watch Narcos also, which is in his third season. I just saw the third season trailer for Narcos, which kind of sucked me right in. So now I've got to watch the first two seasons. If I go to HBO, what does HBO do that is not wrong? I mean, they do everything right, Bill. HBO. HBO can't do wrong for me more
Yeah,
often than
save
not.
it
That seems
till
yeah.
next season of Game of Thrones when you go, I don't like those chicks with the capes. I don't care for those. They seem very fake and not real part of the universe.
Yes, it's the Sand Snakes. Horrible, horrible choice.
Whatever.
Horrible choice. And
Okay.
that's fine. And then there's, Showtime, which I'm paying $11 for the next 3 months for the Twin Peaks fiasco. I'll never get that money back. They do have a show in there called The Affair with what's his name, who was
From The
on The
Wire.
Wire.
Right.
Yeah, I watched that show on there. It's in its third season. It kind of slowed down for me. Amazon Prime has got some original shows. There seems to be a lot more auteurs in these other areas outside of ABC and CBS. Like I
That's
think if you're
fine.
like a real artist,
Tours
a
don't
real writer,
always.
you're
Aut-
going to some other network where your work can be fully realized as opposed to ABC, which in and of itself seems to water shit down for me. It seems watered down like
Sometimes your shit needs to be watered down, fucking David Lynch. Sometimes your shit needs a little fucking coherency to it.
little balance in the force.
Yeah. So, because there's some people going, I don't know what the fuck this shit is, but I don't know why this guy is floating through space and looks like a shaky cam, and he's actually acting like he doesn't have any memory for 8 weeks. Maybe somebody needs to go, enough.
You know what? Since we're here, I mean, 2 weeks ago, it seems as though, if I'm timing this right, we were bitching about Twin Peaks. I want to say that was episode 6. But since then, we saw episode 7, which we loved. I think between you and me, we discussed. And we're like, maybe this is a turning point. That we're getting into the nitty gritty, the stretch home, and it's all going to pull together. And then we got last week's episode 8, which was a. I didn't see Eraserhead, but you were telling me it's like that, which was a
Nonsense
whole nother.
incarnate.
Say it again.
Nonsense incarnate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I did
Yeah,
love
I'm
that little
I'm
Twitter picture you sent me of David Lynch. What does it say? When David Lynch gets all your money, and then
when David Lynch convinces a major cable network to spend millions on his money, and he has this look on his face like, yeah. Um, I'm so depressed about Twin Peaks.
I mean, I was telling Chris about it, and I was sitting there going, out of 8 episodes far, I think really one is really great. I go, I don't know if that's really the bar. It shouldn't be that way. Out of 8 episodes, you should have more. And what's worse is, I don't feel like I would go back and watch it. I think
I
that's even
wanted to go back and watch it this week because I wanted to like see what I missed, and then I was like, you know what? Eh, better not because I'm too old. I don't think I have the patience anymore. Like when I was
yeah.
young, I thought this stuff was like so artsy and intriguing, and it was like, ooh, it's so different. It's so weird. It's so out of the ordinary. And now I just want to go, okay.
Yeah, Bill, time's ticking. According to the mortality chart, you only have about another 40 years.
Yeah, I don't really feel like trying to figure out David Lynch's puzzle for the next 40 years of my life. I really just feel like watching somebody go, here's a story. Here's what happens to these people. This is the end of the story, and let's move on to the next thing. I don't really feel like trying to figure out his fucking Rubik's Cube. I'm just not in the mood.
Do you think you would be more intrigued if he came out with one of those books they do for video games that gives you all the hints and the Easter eggs and the secrets that you missed? Would
I
you
don't think it would
be
hurt.
okay?
But since I'm not likely to get that, and then it becomes inherent on me to sort of figure out the puzzle, which the original Twin Peaks had elements of that, but this one seems to be going all out on that aspect and not so much on the other aspects, which is really what casual viewers can lace into. I'm just not feeling it.
All right. Were you feeling that?
Well, I'm sure somebody felt it, like in California, like it
Your
was a
woman,
3.7 on the Richter
apparently, I
scale.
see this article on Yahoo that indicates that Wonder Woman has become the highest grossing DCEU movie domestically.
Yeah,
It,
I'm torn about numbers like this, considering how I feel about the movie. I'm happy for the movie. I'm happy for Gal Gadot. I'm happy for DC Universe. I just can't go all in because I don't feel like it was the all-encompassing triumph that people make it out to be. Which, again, I don't begrudge them their
what?
success. I just feel like I can't really get behind it 100% because I didn't love it that much. I liked it a lot, but I didn't feel like it was the masterpiece that people seem to be making it out to be. Which, again, I don't hold against them. It's just not my opinion.
How do you feel about this movie become the highest grossing movie outside of Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad? Are you
I
comfortable with
I
that?
wish it would have been BVS. That's really how I feel about it.
Well, technically, it should have been BVS, Bill,
Well,
based upon
okay,
the
and it's
metrics.
not. So, again, I don't begrudge them that the success. I just feel like it was somewhat slightly not earned.
Well, overall, you must be thrilled with the fact that it's making a boatload of money as being a linchpin and keeping this universe going in a certain direction for you.
I am. I am thrilled. I am happy that it's going to mean more Gal Gadot movies. It's going to be more Justice League movies. It's going to mean more DC movies. I just feel like it's just not the movie that makes me jump up and down and holler huzzah.
Uh,
There's a lot to like about it, and there's a lot I
I
like
think
about it. But I don't think it was the masterpiece that I believe BVS was, and that's just how I
I
feel
think
about it.
this is a this along with Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, and Wonder Woman. Those movies are trending in the direction I want to go. I find that Suicide Squad is a a shout back to the old days that I don't want to go that direction. So, I mean, I'm glad it's doing well, and I hope for more movie like this. Like
I
that's
feel
so
I feel similar to it how I feel about Iron Man 1. I'm glad it's launching a greater universe that I want to see more fully explored. Absolutely. Iron Man 1 is not the movie that I would say is the linchpin of the MCU for me, and Wonder Woman is not the linchpin of the DCU for me. I'm happy for it. I like it. It'll be in my collection. I think there's a lot about it I do like. It's just not the masterpiece that I maybe wanted it to be.
Bill, did you see this? Now, I know you saw this, and I'm bringing this up here because I've actually read some of them now. It's kind of funny. Our boy, the mastermind behind Buffy, the Avengers, and Toy Story, Joss Whedon, he did a Wonder Woman script at one
Right.
point in time. And this story sort of hit right after our last episode came out. And mostly it was about a lot of negativity, at least on the internet, if you believe the articles about his screenplay for Wonder Woman. And I think if I could sum it up, that thank God somebody axed Joss Whedon's script of Wonder Woman.
Right.
Did you see some of his lines in here?
I did not read the script now.
All right, I'm going to read you just a couple parts. I know. Here we go. This is Steve. Your whole life on an island with only women, and you can kiss like that? Diana, it's an interesting story. All right, that's one. Number two, during her introduction, she's described as curvaceous but taut as a drawn bow, and she participates in a dance that is sensual, ethereal, and wicked sexy. Okay, okay, you good with that?
Okay.
Okay, Steve. This is Steve Trevor to Diana. I think you're dangerous. I think you mean well, but you're looking for trouble, and you're wildly adept at finding it. I think you've got delusions of grandeur and some actual grandeur, which is confusing. I don't like confusing. I hate the fact that I'm so attracted to you. Just touching you is overwhelming, and I keep hoping you'll turn around so I can see more of you naked. That was Steve Trevor to Diana.
Okay.
And those were the ones that they put out in most of the articles.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't. First of all, it's taking the whole script out of context, so I think it's not really fair to read one line removed from the whole scene that it was present in. Secondly, I don't know about the Wonder Woman script because I haven't read the whole thing from cover to cover, but I do know Joss Whedon's feminist bend on female characters, based primarily on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is without a doubt one of the most powerfully superheroic women characters in modern times. And based on that, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that his Wonder Woman script as a whole would have lived up to that standard because he wrote 7 seasons of Buffy, 5 of which I consider to be some of the best television series I've ever seen. And Buffy being one of the most interesting, well drawn female characters I've ever witnessed. So I'm going to say I'm going to side with Joss. I don't know what these lines mean out of context, and I don't know what, people's necessarily coming after him at this juncture since that script was written like 10 years ago and shelved 10 years ago. I don't know why all of a sudden people are thirsty to come after Joss over it, but I don't find it legitimate as a thing to hate on.
It's cool. It's cool. I thought it was interesting that it does get unearthed. I wouldn't actually mind looking at it, but I imagine at the time that he wrote it, he was at a different place. And now looking at it years later, it takes on a different light. But it is interesting, to say the least. How come how come Josh's Wonder Woman script was not greenlit at the time?
Because it happened at a time when they were still trying to get Superman off the ground after trying to reboot him with Superman Returns. And I'm not sure if it was right before or right after Superman Returns, but we all know how that turned out. I think it was before the MCU took off and became what it is. And I think there was a lot of trepidation about, frankly, trying to make a female superhero um, work, considering it happened, I believe, shortly after the failure of both Elektra and Catwoman at the box office. So I think there was multiple reasons. It just wasn't the right time and it wasn't the right place for that story to be told.
Okay, so we still love Joss.
I still love Joss. I'm still giving Joss love, absolutely. I'll see what Joss does with Batgirl, and then if that isn't up to snuff, then I'll say so at the time. But I'm giving him props for creating a quite memorable female hero, and I don't see any reason why his Wonder Woman wouldn't have been at least as good as Buffy.
It's going to be interesting when you all of a sudden start to have these female-centric superhero movies hit the theaters. There's going to be articles on comparison between Wonder Woman, Batgirl, Captain Marvel, as to which one's advancing women in the new century and which ones are just like some sort of old madmen back in the day slapping secretary on the ass type of shit. It'll be curious, but they're all going to draw comparisons at some point forward.
Well, Wonder Woman is now going to be the gold standard that all other female heroes will have to live up to. The same way that Superman remains, for me, the gold standard that all other superhero movies have to live up to. So, with that being said, I don't know, if they're going to veer too far away from the formula that made Wonder Woman work as far as going with Captain Marvel. I would look for a lot of similar things in Captain Marvel that we found in Wonder Woman if they, are chasing the formula that made that one a success.
Thinking about steering away from the formula, Bill. I you heard the news, right? It's old news now because I know we've discussed it, but we haven't discussed it on the airwaves. Is that our boys from 21 Jump Street in a Lego movie, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, were fired. They were fired from the Han Solo movie.
Right.
Word on the street was that they were filming the movie for so many months. They kind of like to do shit. 4.5? Okay. That's a long time, right?
Well, they were only 3 weeks away from finishing, so.
Okay. There were sources, unnamed sources at this point, that were indicating that there were deep, fundamental philosophical difference in filmmaking styles. That the directors were given zero creative freedom, and they were also asked to operate under extreme scheduling constraints. And they were never given enough days for each scene from the very beginning, with also rumors that a lot of times that the directors, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, like to give their actors a little bit more creative freedom instead of, allowing them to deviate from the script, come up with a little improv, kind of shoot shit on the fly. Those were some of the rumors that were coming out based on the stories that were hitting the airwaves. And then your girl, KK, Kathleen Kennedy, came down and said, all the nonsense has to stop. You have to go pack your shit and leave. You can make movies, but you got to make them someplace else. Bye, Felicia. I hear the rumors that Kathleen Kennedy may be giving these people too much creative freedom. And that maybe she needs to be reined in.
First of all, how dare you suggest that Kathleen Kennedy needs to be reined in?
Listen, I'm not suggesting it. I just read the information, I pull it together, and then I draw an assessment of what's going on here. And this is the whole idea that they want to have this game where they want to bring in these directors that are young guns, creative, got a vision. They have an eye for different things, not just some sort of general hack. And then when they come in, they try to put them in a box, and some of the people buck. Okay, and then they get mad when that happens, and maybe she shouldn't be bringing in these directors that can't play by their rules.
Well, if you do, this is the same complaint you always eschew. If you just get the people to come in and do the paint by numbers, then you're going to get the same movies over and over and over again. There's not going to be any originality. There's not going to be any surprises. It's just going to be rote.
Bill, this is true. Even they see it over at the Mouse House. You can't do that. The people are going to stop going. You'll make some initial money early on the front end, But if you're trying to do this, win this game long term, then you got to keep moving forward. You can't sit.
The issue is that you can have people that like to bring a certain
Flair,
vision
vision.
or a certain style or a certain je ne sais quoi or idiosyncratic speciality to it, but you
Voulez-vous.
also have to play within the sandbox. You cannot come in with your 64 box of crayons when really there's only enough room for 12 and try to make it into the business
Why the
of
fuck can't I come
blockbuster.
in with my box of crayons? I
Because
am the
we're not
director.
making David Lynch movies over here at Disney. We're not doing your stream of consciousness, what comes across your mind. You just throw it up against the screen and watch it stick and then put a Star Wars label on it. That's not what we're doing over here. Star Wars is a brand that has gone 7 films, countless merchandising, countless books, video games, audio tapes, television shows, several. Star Wars is a certain type of thing. Now, you can bring a little bit of flair to it, but don't come in here with your fucking characters sitting over in houses going 119, 119, 119. Okay? Don't try it. So you can be creative with your shots. I mean, J.J. Abrams added some new looks to Star Wars The Force Awakens, yet it still remains wholeheartedly a Star Wars movie. From beginning to end, it feels like Star Wars. Don't come in here with your Lego movie bullshit trying to make some kind of, smart ass, sarcastic, South Park like comedy out of our Han Solo movie. Because Han Solo means more to us than you just getting a couple yucks like it's an episode of Family Guy.
Bill, first of all, I think I need an MP3 of 119. I'm going to use that as my thing for nonsense anymore.
Mhm.
I want to MP3 of that. Is this some sort of chink in the army, in the armor of Star Wars? Because with J.J. Abrams and The Force Awakens, that shit was like it was run very tightly. Nothing was
No,
leaking out. Wait,
because
wait. It was everything was like we were marveling at the fact that they seemed to be keeping everything under lock and key and were running a very smooth ship. Then after they made their $1 billion, J.J. Abrams sort of left, and then all of a sudden you came in with Josh Trank. What happened to Josh Trank? He was getting drunk in the trailer. He's out. Then they brought in what's his face?
Gareth
This is from
Edwards.
Rogue One.
Gareth Edwards.
Gareth Edwards? Yeah. Gareth Edwards. And all of a sudden he had to be reined in because he was trying to do some sort of war film. It was a little bit hush hush, but they had to kind of change things around to fit more of their style later on in the back end. And now we've got Chris Lord and Miller over here, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. You've got, well, they're fired now. Is it cursed?
No, you know what it is? It's not easy to make a movie that pleases all audiences. That is a fact in 2017. It's not easy to make a movie based on a character that has generations of people and filmgoers
So,
in love with it.
what do you
It's
what do you
not
think the solution
easy.
should be? What do you think the solution is? Because if you're going to go out and hire these
The
directors,
solution is you're going to have to hire these people that you want to have bring them a little bit of flair, but you're going to have to police them a little closer. You're going to have to be on set every day. Kathleen Kennedy is going to have to get up and put her fucking jogging shoes on and go down to the set every fucking day and make sure that their asses are coherent and sticking to the fucking plan. Because if you
Bill,
give them too much room, they will fuck around and screw you over. That's the answer. You're going to have to police them like nobody's business.
Bill, I am a director. I do not need to be treated like a child.
then
Okay.
you can go over there to Netflix and then have them throw you goo gobs of money to get a season's worth of a show that no one's going to watch and then cancel you. But you're not doing that over here with Han Solo because we have a fucking franchise to protect.
Can you see that Larry Kasdan was like on set going, the script line says, Han comes in and goes, "Where are the Wookiees at? I'm here to free the Wookiees." And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, we know that's the line, but how about you just say something else? Just whatever comes to mind. Wookiees go free, or free the Wookiees. Whatever you want. We'll film it like 8 different times." This is, very, very casual. Larry Kasdan was just like, "That's not part of the script. We don't freelance. We don't freelance."
I mean,
I
these Wonderkins need to understand when you're playing in a sandbox that has bobs and bobs and bobs of other people's money, that you have a fiduciary responsibility to stay within the fucking lines. And if you
Bill, do you
want to
see that
color
arc?
outside the lines, then play around with your own money, but not ours.
Do you see that in the same vein? Warner Brothers. It was in the Hollywood Reporter that one of their executives came out and was quoted as saying, on projects that don't fit into Warner's silos, Lego animated movies, Harry Potter spin-offs, and DC comic films, the studio will look to slash costs and avoid auteur directors who want final cut. There would be exceptions, notably Clint Eastwood and Chris Nolan.
I didn't see that, but it makes perfect sense.
I don't like it. I don't like
I
it.
understand, which is why I suggest you continue coffering up money to supply Netflix with all the discs that they can possibly send you so
No,
that you can get an option.
I don't begrudge them coming down and looking at Lord and Miller and saying we don't like the direction of where this is going. I think it's bad press for them in terms of looking like they don't know what the fuck is going on. I think doesn't mean that the movie will be bad or fail, but I think it's not a positive for them to be
If
firing
anyone
somebody.
can weather this storm, I'm more worried about DC weathering the storm of Zack Snyder with Joss Whedon taking over, even though that was completely unavoidable, than I am worried about, based on the results of Rogue One, based on the results of The Force Awakens, that I'm worried about Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy and Ron Howard shepherding the Han Solo movie. I've seen that what they can do when they have to take over from people that maybe have gone too far in one direction or another. They've yet to let me down out of 2 films. I'm confident that they'll be fine. Of any studio out there, Disney's got their shit on lock. I think it'll be fine.
Do you see at any point, let's say over here in the next 5 to 10 years, that Kathleen Kennedy will be replaced?
Well, sure, it could happen to anybody. If the movies stop making money and people suddenly stop deciding that Star Wars is cool again, absolutely, everybody's job is up for grabs if they stop being successful. That's a gimme. Yeah. If Colin Trevorrow fucks up Episode 9, and Han Solo somehow turns out to be a disaster, and whatever else they have coming down the pike doesn't meet standards of what people have come to expect from Star Wars or the rebirth of Star Wars, yeah, she better be worried. But as of today, right now, she's doing well. She's got 2 out of 2. She's been up to bat twice, and she's struck home plate twice.
I heard they're not bringing The Last Jedi over to the Comic Con.
Well, D23 is the week before Comic Con. So D23 is the Disney fan club convention. It doesn't really make sense for them to do their own convention and then the week later do a convention of material for stuff that they don't even own.
I got you. So that material is actually very misleading. Something
And I
will be
mean,
coming.
yeah, unless you knew and don't forget we already had Celebration this year. How much more information do we really want to know about this movie before it comes out? I think D23, I would hope for some type of trailer or some type of announcement. about Han Solo's being pushed back or Ron Howard taking over or whatever, but I don't know if I need back-to-back conventions of Star Wars information. So,
You see that you're coming up this week for Spider-Man.
yeah,
It's getting a lot of positive buzz. Does the
thank
positive
goodness.
buzz make you excited?
It does. I am excited for Spider-Man: Homecoming. Uh, I rewatched all the Spider-Man movies this past week, and I've come out with some changed opinions about them. Basically, being that the Andrew Garfield version is my preferred version over the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi versions. I think
I
they're
got you.
underrated. I think that Andrew Garfield was unfairly maligned as being a great Spider-Man. And I do look forward to what the MCU version of Spider-Man is going to be. I hope it offers me what it's purported to give me, which is John Hughes meets MCU. I have doubts that it's going to be as great as everyone's making it out to be because it seems to be that for me, when the people start yelping in one way or the other, whether it's positive or negative, oftentimes I end up wanting to be
Listen,
somewhere
I'm
away from
telling
either
you,
opinion.
Disney and Feige and the rest of them over there, they have a budget where they're just paying off all these people. They're just slipping them like gift cards for the Sizzler or Red Robin for a positive review. I mean,
Maybe
it's
people are
it's
just drinking the Kool-Aid, Jay. Maybe that's that. Maybe that's it. Maybe the Kool-Aid has just infiltrated people's brains.
yeah. I'm not a Kool Aid drinker. I'll be the judge of this. So what's the deal? I see the articles. I know you mentioned it to me about that Flash Thompson is not the comic stereotypical white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes football player in this one. He's played differently. He's played by a Guatemalan named Tony Revolori.
Right.
Um, is that cool? Not cool? Different spin? You like that?
I'm going to reserve judgment until I see his portrayal. It
All
is a
right. Fair
departure.
enough.
Is a departure from what we've experienced in the other Spider-Man films and what the comic book gave us. Um, I've gone on record saying that I'm not sure exactly how I feel about this push for multiculturalism in the films. But I'm not going to stand here and say it's absolutely not possible that it could win me over. I'll wait and see.
This film looks like it has like multicultural, like on steroids. Because I saw a scene while clicking on the article with the Flash Thompson character. It just seems like it's just on steroids.
Well, every character
I'm not
besides
saying
Tom
that's a negative
Holland,
or a positive here, but it is a
it's
interesting.
not an accident. And John Watts has already gone on record stating that the reason why they cast so many different ethnicities outside of what they typically were portrayed as in the comics and the previous films was because they made a conscious effort, the same way I think Kathleen Kennedy has stated about Star Wars with The Force Awakens and moving forward, to have the films reflect the world in which they take place in. And the world, no matter what way you look at it, is becoming more and more multiculturally influenced. So, in that way, I guess they're trying to stay timely and relevant.
I mean, that sounds good. No?
Yeah, are there no attractive minorities that they can find? Because they can have minorities. I don't have a problem with that inherently.
I don't know why
But
you always have to be with your id. I don't know why you just can't like just let the material wash over you. You always need these some sort of like beefcake models rolling around and like no, I don't know, banana slings and shirtless
really,
and shit.
banana slings, really. I mean, the thing about it is, and I've told you this before, I go to movies as a sort of wish fulfillment or fantasy fulfillment. I go to movies to see things and people that I don't get a chance to see in everyday life when I'm going over here to the geriatric Kroger's to get a bag of green beans. Okay. And, while I guess there's some significance to the fact that you can have ordinary looking people in a movie, I don't know if that's something that I prefer to see.
Mm, mm,
I don't really
okay.
want to pay $10 to see average looking people. I want to pay $10 to see somebody with abs that look like they just got, poked off of somebody's like, GQ cover model Photoshop.
That actually
I'm
takes me.
sure that there are Mexican GQ cover model men. I'm sure that there are. I mean, Zendaya's gorgeous, but they have to ugly her up to make her, part of this ordinary looking cast. I can't wait for the day, and if it's not in this movie, I hope it's the next one, where she eschews this sort of plain Jane look that they've got her working in the trailers in, and have her step out like she's in a fucking Beyonce music video. Because that's why I like her. She's gorgeous.
Okay. I think I'm accepting of all people, of all different types of beauty.
Yeah, sure. Until they have to hop into your bed. Okay? Let's see some of the Ugmos in this cast end up in your bed. I doubt it.
Oh, it's going to be good. So we're going to be watching some Spider-Man, and we're going to be watching for our movie on Saturday evening. It will be Captain America: Civil War.
Sure, because that would be where the genesis of this current Spider-Man came from. So we might want to review that and see how they match up a little bit.
All right, I like it. You always come up with the plan. I like that. By the way, I was talking with my girlfriend, and she knows that you're like Julie, the cruise director, with selecting the movies when you come up on the weekends that we watch.
Uh-huh.
She was asking, is at any point that she can select a movie, or is it only sort of what you pick? And that's what
I
it
would
is.
welcome her selecting a movie. That's absolutely perfectly fine. Now, if she comes up with some shit like The Help, we're going to have to review and decide whether we're all on board. But if she wants to throw some names in the hat, they'll be perfectly fine.
Bill, I think you would like Driving Miss Daisy. I brought over the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I think we're not doing that. I mean, if she can fit some shit into our wheelhouse of like, it's got to be a fun Saturday or a fun weekend movie, I'm not going to be watching some, sad, traumatic, like, uh, documentary about, whales getting beat to death with baseball bats in the Arctic. But, you know, or, seals or whatever beat to death, but whatever. But yeah, sure.
Okay.
She might want to throw us like a list ahead of time. Like she'd give us like a short list. Like I would say at least three choices, and then like we can vote and see, out of 2 out of 3, which one we go with. I'm up for that.
Okay.
Because yeah, I'm sure that you won't pick the one that whatever one your girlfriend's gonna pick. Because yeah, you don't want to have sex again. So
That reminds me, she said something in regards to that. I can't remember right now. Anyway, what else do we got going on in the world?
I don't know. I haven't looked today. I've been watching soap operas today, and I fell asleep and took a nap before the show started. So I'm a little behind.
You're joking. This is what I'm talking about with professionalism.
Well,
by the way, how was 47 meters?
I'll never get that 2 hours back. That's enough said. Boring. I don't know how you make a shark movie boring, but it was boring the fuck out of me. So
this is the people where they were trapped in the cage underwater, right?
Oh yeah, that's actually funny because you know how you're always complaining about how shit is pedestrian and the dialogue is just terrible, and I'm always like, I don't know. I don't think it was that bad. Well, this was a perfect example of where I go, this is what he's talking about. When I'm watching the movie, I'm going, this is what Jay's talking about. The dialogue was so bad. So bad. And the girls were like just screaming and yelling all the time. And the dialogue was just so basic. And I was just like, I can't get out of here fast enough. I can't get out of here fast enough.
Do you happen
Meanwhile, my husband's sitting next to me. My husband's sitting next to me, like popping the popcorn like I do at all the superhero movies. And
all he's missing is the word "wee."
Yes. So for one time in my life, I think I've sort of like channeled your energy where I was just like, I am so over this bullshit. I just can't wait to get out of here. So I do empathize with you now sometimes when you're just not feeling it, and I'm like all into it because my husband was all into it, and I was just over it. So
Was he afterwards going like, "Man, Bill, that was intense"?
no, he actually came out and said he didn't really like it. Although at the time he didn't really look like he didn't like it, but I mean, I don't know
Oh,
what there was to like. It was so bad. I can't wait for you to watch it on Netflix because it's so bad.
oh,
It's
that's
so
good.
bad.
I'm glad you took one. You took one for the team.
I did. He gets one every summer. Last summer we did that Shallows movie. This summer we did 47 Leagues Under the Sea or whatever it's called. And
Oh boy, did
Hey,
you hear
this is
that?
John with some.
what the hell was that?
That was me pulling up an article that had the headline that Robert Downey Jr. Um, wants to give up playing Iron Man before it gets embarrassing.
Yeah, and I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. wants to give up the fucking money truck that they're pulling up to his yard to play the Iron Man before he gets embarrassed too, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So there were some photos that were revealed of Jessica Jones apparently kissing somebody that's not Luke Cage.
who is she kissing? Spoiler.
I don't know, some mysterious new partner.
Okay, does he have powers?
I doubt it. I kind of was kind of hoping that Luke Cage, Jessica Jones romance would continue on, but obviously by
What, now,
having her
why is
get
that? No, I can't imagine
having
why you would be invested in Jessica Jones and Luke Cage having a romantic future. Wouldn't have anything to do with your personal life, would it?
no, it absolutely doesn't. It
Okay.
actually reflective of the comic books because in the comic books they're married and have a child.
Hmm. And you have all those issues upstairs in your attic in plastic bags and boards, right?
No, I
Oh,
do have a few of those issues. Yes,
okay, okay, all right.
I do. But what I'm saying, if we want to mimic some of these storylines, having some sort of artistic liberties here, I would have preferred that. But they've made it sort of like a non-starter. With the fact is that she killed his wife, so
Did she
therefore
not do
we're
that in the
going.
comic book?
No,
Okay.
no. Um, and so and that's what we're left with. We're going to have these divergent storylines where Luke Cage is dating the night nurse and Jessica's going off some other way. Maybe these characters could find themselves back together. I don't know. They
Well,
seem to have
again,
chemistry.
maybe they're trying to be less obvious by being a little bit divergent from the comic, so that you don't know everything that's coming around the corner. And maybe they're throwing some roadblocks in there so that when they do finally get together, you are invested in their getting together. So just because they're not right off the bat doesn't mean there won't ever be.
I think you give them too much credit. I don't think that's where it's headed. I'm sorry.
That's fine because I personally like Rosario Dawson and um, Mike Coulter as a couple. And I wouldn't have a problem with them staying together. So I like them. I hope they do
Will
go
they
down that
do?
route.
Will they be doing something more besides talking for 12 of the 13 episodes? Will
I
they
don't
be doing
know.
more?
I have to say though that of all the dialogue that's heavy in the Netflix Marvel shows, some of the characteristics that I enjoy the most are from Rosario Dawson. Is my favorite character in the MCU Netflix U, and so I don't mind when she has dialogue stuff because I find like every word she says I'm like hanging on, and so I don't mind that with her.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. All right. What else we got going on in the news?
I'm looking up comic book movie news, and there's really not a lot happening from what I'm reading here.
I told you I watched the movie Collide, right?
You did not.
I watched it with Nicholas Holt and Felicity Jones, Ben Kingsley, and Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
Came out this year. And I told you, I think we actually argued on the show that based on the trailer itself, that it looked so damn pedestrian. And you've got Ben Kingsley and Anthony Hopkins just playing against character, which makes it sort of that's the whole idea is for it to be intriguing. And I railed on how this just was just completely ridiculous. I ended up enjoying the movie.
Okay.
I don't know what really more to say about that. I was pleasantly surprised, and this is what I thought about Bill. I guess this is what I meant to tell you at the time that I saw it. When you tell me like, why am I watching these movies that I really don't seem to be interested in? Well, as I was watching it, there was a couple songs that came on during the movie that I liked, and it brought me enjoyment. Like I've discovered something new, so I put them in my queue. What do you use? You use Spotify? Is that what you use?
I do.
Yeah, and so I was just like, I discovered something new. So I realized at that point that even though these movies have some sort of appearance of being craptacular, they may actually give me something that adds some sort of enjoyment to my life in the future. So that's why maybe I have to still watch them, even if it looks like, you know,
Well, you never know until you watch it. So, I
yeah.
mean,
I still have fences in my house, and it's been here since I don't know June 22nd. Fences have been in my house.
well, that's only a week. Really, nine
A
days.
week. I get these movies out in 2 days once they arrive. A week.
Why don't you try watching it with your girlfriend and maybe she'll give you some kind of like insight into it that you wouldn't normally see if you just watched it on your own?
Insight. What insight is that?
Well, maybe she'll appreciate it, on a level that you wouldn't necessarily pay attention to. She's got,
Fences. Working as a
detail.
trash collector in 1950s Pittsburgh, Troy Maxson struggles to raise his family while trying to transcend the bitter experience of being a talented baseball player denied the opportunity to play in the majors because of his race. I'm reading the Netflix Trolls reviews, and the people seem to love it.
I mean, maybe your girlfriend will give you some kind of like emotional insight into it. Like, she'll be like, "Oh, that's just so special." And you know what I mean? Like sometimes when you watch something with somebody that hasn't seen it before, it gives you like a fresh perspective than your own.
So you're saying they'll be talking during the movie?
No, I'm saying after the movie, maybe she'll, like how she tried to do with us when we watched that god awful gay movie last
Moonlight?
year. Yeah, Moonlight, and she was like, "Oh, I don't know, I liked it," and I wasn't having none of it because I went, "That's bullshit. This some movie sucked." But maybe you won't, maybe you won't have that reaction. I'm just saying. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's 2 hours and fucking 19 minutes. You know how I feel about that shit. I feel the only thing that should really be 2 hours and 15 minutes is like a superhero movie. Anything
Really,
more of that, I think you're trying too hard to win an Oscar. Like you're trying to go for some sort of epic dramatic film when it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. You're trying to say like, oh, we're doing something real deep over here.
I will say at least that horrifying 47 Fathoms Below movie was only 90 minutes, although it was still painful. At least it wasn't 2 hours.
I think there should be a study on when you look at the movies. If you're to put the Oscars as some sort of the penultimate award, looking at the past movies that won and the length of them, the average length of an Oscar movie, it's going to be greater than an hour and 45 minutes. I bet you.
And
I
do you
would
think that
dare
has
say
something
that.
to
I
do with
can't
it being
imagine
an
an Oscar
Oscar?
movie being what's that?
Do you think that has something to do with it being an Oscar-winning movie? The length of it?
I think I'm just trying to draw a comparison. I'm just trying to, how do I want to say, weed it out. I don't recall there ever being an Oscar winning movie in the past, I don't know, 2 decades that was 90 minutes. I just don't think that works that way.
I know what we should discuss briefly before we move on. The Saturn Award winners came out this week, and since I like those, even though they're not broadcast, and I find that they speak to me more than the Oscars, I would like to mention some of the winners because I'm quite pleased with some of the outcomes of these. So I have the winning films up here. Best science fiction film was Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Could not agree more. Best fantasy film was The Jungle Book. Didn't see it. Don't care. Best horror film, Don't Breathe. Didn't see it. Don't care.
Ooh, don't breathe.
Yeah. Do you agree
Very
with that?
good, well deserved.
It was nominated with The Autopsy of Jane Doe, The Conjuring 2, Demon, Ouija Origin of Evil, Train to Busan, and The Witch. Don't Breathe was the winner.
You know something? Those were some strong entries in that
Okay.
category.
Best thriller film. The nominees were 10 Cloverfield Lane, The Accountant, The Girl on the Train, Hell or High Water, Jason Bourne, The Shallows, and Split.
Hello? Wait. Girl in the Train. Horrible, boring. A lot of good entries in there. If you're reading that category, I'm assuming Split won.
No, the 10 Cloverfield Lane movie won.
And okay, fine.
Best action film, Hidden Figures. Oh, really? Allied, Gold, Hacksaw Ridge, The Legend of Tarzan, Spare Me, The Magnificent Seven, and The Nice Guys. I've only seen one of these, and the winner was Hidden Figures. I didn't see that one. I saw Tarzan, which sucked my ass.
They put that in the action category.
Best action adventure film.
Interesting choice. Okay.
Best international film. No one gives a damn. Best comic to film.
Oh, well, tell me the winner. I'm
Oh,
international.
The Handmaiden.
Oh, I did The Handmaid's Tale or The Handmaiden?
No, just The Handmaiden.
Who's the
Handmaid's
director?
Tale
Is
a
it
TV
Boon
show.
Joo-Ka?
I don't know. It doesn't tell me that. Wait a minute. Let me
I think
see.
I saw. Anyway, we have UK listeners.
Directed by
Bill.
Park Chan-wook.
Yes, I saw it.
Okay.
Enjoyable. You wouldn't like it. Subtitled.
Exactly. Next, best comic to film movie: Doctor Strange, Batman vs Superman, Captain America: Civil War, Deadpool, Suicide Squad, and X-Men: Apocalypse.
Captain
Winner?
American Civil War won.
No, X-Men: Apocalypse. Just kidding. But I still don't agree with the choice. Doctor
Then
Strange.
it's got to be Batman versus Superman.
No, it was Doctor Strange.
Of course. Of course it did.
I think Batman vs Superman should have won, but it didn't. Best animated film: Finding Dory, Kingslave, Final Fantasy 15. Really? Moana, Sing, Trolls, and Zootopia.
Ooh, I'm rooting for Trolls.
Finding Dory.
Oh.
Not impressed. Didn't see it, so I don't know. But
I did see Finding Dory. You're so disrespectful. How do you? This is popular cinema, Bill.
I know.
Come on.
Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's for me. Now, it's mostly for me as popular, but not all for me.
Finding Dory.
I did not like Finding Nemo, so Finding Dory was not a Pixar film on my radar.
Finding Nemo is one of my favorite of all the films. I'm sorry. Finding Nemo it brings me such a joy to watch Finding Nemo. Finding Dory didn't reach the same level as Finding Nemo.
I have a problem with Ellen DeGeneres, so I think that keeps me from loving Finding Dory. I don't really like Ellen. I think she's fake.
I get it. There's certain actors sometimes just having their presence in the film sometimes makes it unsavourable. Like James Franco for me at times. Like when he's in something, there's just something that just makes it low rent. Low rent when he's in it.
Low rent.
Sometimes Colin Farrell.
Accountant.
Okay.
Best director: Gareth Edwards for Rogue One, Scott Derrickson for Doctor Strange, Jon Favreau for The Jungle Book, the Russos for Captain America: Civil War. Do you see what I'm saying? Tell me these nominations don't agree with more of what you see and like about movies than the Oscars do. Bryan Singer, the X-Men Apocalypse movie, Steven Spielberg for the BFG, and Denis Villeneuve for Arrival.
Okay. No. The fact that you even put Age of Apocalypse in there for Best Director is just absolutely offensive. It kind of brings down the whole fucking category. That's not a Best Director fucking movie. Age of Apocalypse. The man did The Usual Suspects, and somehow you're telling me Age of Apocalypse is a Best Director film? That's probably one of his lowest rated films ever for Bryan Singer.
At least I've seen the movie. All those Oscar nomination movies, I've never bothered to see because I don't give a damn.
Well, if you're going to go with movies that you've seen, then yes. But don't tell me that Age of Apocalypse deserves to be in the best director films of all the things that you've seen.
It was
Well, you
nominated.
can't
It
tell
did
me
not
that.
win.
Of course it did.
You want to know what won?
I do.
Take a guess.
Give me my choices again.
Gareth Edwards, Scott Derrickson, John
Oh,
Favreau.
okay. Stop. Rogue One.
What? Hell to the yeah! Best movie of the year.
Of
Gareth
course.
Edwards. Star
Of course.
Wars Rogue One. All right. Best writing. Arrival, The BFG, Deadpool, Doctor Strange, Hell or High Water, and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story.
Hell or High Water.
Arrival. Ugh.
Is that
Wow.
starring that boring ass bitch Amy Adams?
Yeah, it's starring boring ass bitch Amy Adams, who is the linchpin of the DCEU as Lois Lane. Wow.
You talk about, you just went on a rant about beautiful people. I'm not saying the woman's not attractive, but she really is just basic. I mean, there's just something very boring about her. And
Well, that's your opinion. I personally would not throw her out of bed for eating crackers, but that's just my opinion.
this is just another long string of appealing to the regular woman, from Twilight to now to Lois Lane being Amy Adams.
Sometimes, Jay, attractiveness goes beyond the actual physical shape or silhouette of one body, okay? Sometimes there's a certain thing called charm and grace that comes across as sexy to people, okay? And if I'm going to pick apart Amy Adams and say, well, maybe she's no Cheryl Tiegs or Angelina Jolie, I am also going to say there's a certain charm about her that I do find very attractive.
You know, when you say Cheryl Tiegs, that really shows your age. I mean, I would think there's maybe 25% of our listeners who are like, Cheryl Tiegs.
I mean, who's the hot model these days? Are there hot models these days? I don't know. I like the menses, so I don't really pay that much attention to the hot model females anymore. I mean, who's like the hot model? Is there like a hot supermodel? Is it like, what's her name?
Cheryl Tiegs is 69 years old.
I mean, are we talking like who's like the hot model? Like, are we looking at like, I don't know, Christy Turlington or?
Oh, how about the hot model? How about those the one daughter from the Housewives of Beverly Hills? What's her name?
The Haddads, the Hadids.
The Haddads, yes. How about that?
Okay, I mean, whatever.
Gigi Hadad.
Gigi Hadid, right? Whatever. She's got chlamydia or whatever. What's her problem?
Okay, that's not that we can get sued over that. You said that. That's.
I mean, she's got something wrong with her cooch, right? What's
no,
she got, like
I don't know if
dead
there's
cooch
anything
disease?
Also, I get into PCP law department on air because right now we're gonna have to edit that out.
Whatever. What does she have? Tick's disease? Lyme disease? Is that it? Lyme disease?
Oh, Lyme disease. There you go.
Right, okay.
Lyme disease.
Whatever.
Yes.
I mean, if you want a little side of like Cujo frothing after having sex, then she's your girl. But I mean,
I don't think Lyme disease is transmitted sexually. Thank you very much. Okay.
I don't know. Ask what's her name's husband, the one that left her. Maybe he was starting to get a little sting down there in the bottom, and he was like, I don't know what this is about, but I can't have this. Okay, anyway. Best actor, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, Chris Evans, Captain America, Matthew McConaughey for Gold, Chris Pine in Star Trek Beyond, Chris Pratt in Passengers, and Mark Rylance in the BFG.
Matt McConaughey for Gold.
Nope, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Really? Did you really think there was a contest?
Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool?
Mm-hmm. He was very good. I think Benedict Cumberbatch was pretty good, although he has a speech impediment that irritates me. I feel like that holds me back from really embracing Doctor Strange, because I feel like he sounds like he has a dick in his mouth all the time.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
and that's why we're explicit. I mean, honestly.
I mean, he just have you do you not notice Benedict Cumberbatch has a speech impediment? Do you really
I do
not
not.
notice that? Are you really? Is this like the first you've ever noticed that I mentioned this?
I have never. I've watched Doctor Strange more than a few times with you, and seen him in other things. I have not noticed a speech impediment. He was Smog.
He was smart, but they also vocoded his voice a lot in Smog.
Barrel
So
right.
right, so they changed his shit around with electronics. Whereas in Doctor Strange, it's just his mouth making those sounds, and I feel like his lips are tired because they've been sucking too many penises.
These are the people who make.
Yeah.
Hello.
All right. I'm listening
I'm
to you.
just I'm just saying, I do feel like that's an issue for me. I don't it bothers me. In any case, Ryan Reynolds won. So, best
Well,
actress.
I took his throne. I ate his people like a wolf among sheep. I kill where I wish, when I wish. My armor is iron. No blade can pierce me. I will not part with a single coin, not one piece of it.
do you not love that?
I do
That
love that.
Smog speech of his.
I
I don't
do
hear
love
any
that.
list. So you're
It's
telling me they changed
heavily
the.
it's heavily electronically modified. Now, if you play dialogue directly from Doctor Strange, I think you'll hear a difference.
All right. Let's look up Doctor Strange dialogue. Okay. All right. I'm gonna see if I can find it here.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'm going to read off the Best Actress nominations. Mary Elizabeth Winstead for 10 Cloverfield Lane, Amy Adams for Arrival, Emily Blunt for The Girl on the Train, Taraji P. Henson for Hidden Figures, Felicity Jones for Rogue One, Jennifer Lawrence for Passengers, and Nargis Rashidi for Under the Shadow.
Ooh, I saw Under the Shadow. It's a horror movie. You didn't see it. Highly rated.
No.
It's in my queue currently.
I saw exactly three of these movies.
All right.
I saw
It's Taraji Shinson.
no, it was Mary Elizabeth Winstead in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
There's a lot of love for the Cloverfield Lane, huh?
Well, apparently it's quite the what do you call
I,
it? Niche movie.
I was underwhelmed by it. Jonathan Goodman, it's fine. Okay, all right, continue.
Best Supporting Actor Jonathan Goodman for 10 Cloverfield Lane, Chadwick Boseman for Captain America: Civil War as T'Challa, Dan Fogler in Hidden Beasts and Where to Find Them as Jacob Kowalski, Diego Luna in Rogue One: A Star Wars Story as Casey and Andor, Zachary Quinto as Commander Spock in Star Trek Beyond, and Christopher Walken as King Louis in The Jungle Book.
Zachary Quinto.
John Goodman, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Wow. Okay.
Best Supporting Actress Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One in Doctor Strange.
Wait, before you continue, at least with some of these, the winners outside of Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool, my mind is willing to accept that as a winner. I can tell you who should not be winning, let alone nominated. I think
I can
that's
tell you
what,
who shouldn't be in the category. That would be Chadwick Boseman for
well,
T'Challa, King of Wakanda. Uh,
all right, all right,
um,
all right. You said best supporting actors: Tilda
Best
Swinton,
Supporting
Doctor
Actress
Strange.
Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange, Betty Buckley as Dr. Karen Fletcher in Split, Bryce Dallas Howard in Gold, Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff in Captain America: Civil War, Kate McKinnon as Dr. Julian Holtzman in Ghostbusters, and Margot Robbie as Harley Quinzel in Suicide Squad. This is what I'm saying. Okay, aside from who should win or who shouldn't win, all of these people I can wholly, mostly behind say they totally deserve to have been singled out because they were fucking great. At least the ones I've seen. This speaks to me as a film goer, as a movie goer, more than the Oscars. It's just a fact.
I, as a moviegoer, I'm listening to you and I hear you. It makes you happy. I, on the other hand, as a moviegoer, see some of these things and that they're in, and whether I enjoy it or not, I don't find necessarily their acting and portraying their character to be something that's so greater than everybody else's that's out there acting in some sort of other dramatic role. I just don't necessarily buy it.
I'm sorry, but Margot Robbie
I
was
mean, the fact
fantastic as Harley
that
Quinn,
you're
and so was
nominating.
Tilda Swinton, and so was Betty Buckley.
Wait, the fact that you're nominating, let's just say, Chadwick Boseman for the 10 minutes he was in Civil War for going up there giving a dialogue and
He is
going,
Best Supporting
my, my,
Actor.
my father was killed. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is so great, Best Supporting Actor. I mean, it's really a slap in the face of the past people who've actually won the awards for the certain things.
How is it a slap in the face any more than when Dame Judith Dench won for a 10-minute role in Shakespeare in Love? I don't know, or whatever that movie was she was in. It's just because you're only in it for 10 minutes. There's
My point of the
precedent.
matter is I saw the role that she won for and it was very powerful. I don't necessarily find that anything that they're doing in some of these things, you're talking about Scarlett Johansson in Captain America Civil War sitting there kind of winking at the camera going, hey Cap, what's going on? And people are like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Look at the way she read that line. These are not things that are stretching their acting chops. These
Fact.
aren't some sort of roles that they're looking at going, oh my God, please let me be in the next Captain America movie so I can win an Academy Award. They're doing it because I'm going to get paid. They're not doing it because this is somehow going to stretch their abilities. Ryan Reynolds being in Deadpool, it's not a stretch of his acting abilities whatsoever. It's just some sort of standard. I wake up, I go just read the funny lines because I'm good with my dialect and this is the way I normally speak. These do not. These are the
I don't know
roles.
why an
like
actor's
Denzel,
role
like
has to
Denzel.
stretch the
Denzel,
craft of acting for it to be considered award worthy. I don't know why.
Denzel has been a pillar in the acting community. He's been decades of going. He's like been respected by his peers. Now I understand that at the time that he won, the whole idea was that he was playing against type. He was always playing the good guy, the stand-up dramatic. And then he played some sort of character that was malicious, nasty, and evil. And people bought it. And so they were like, this is great acting because we didn't think he could do such a thing. This is a stretch for him because he played always something different. It's a reward for being able to show the height of your abilities and do something. Being in a superhero movie and reading some superhero lines to me does not somehow strike as being like this is a huge stretch. When you're walking out there going, I'm here and nobody else will stop you because I will save you. I don't know if the crowd sits up there and goes, hey, I enjoyed it, but is this really like the height of acting? Is this what we're going to sit there and put in a film class? Are we going to put Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff in film class and go, this is what you should strive for? Fuck that. Fuck that. That's
I don't
BS.
know why every role that an actor has to be some kind of transformative to the art of acting part for it to be considered worthy. I don't understand why, because someone embodies a character completely and wholly and interestingly, and also gets my $12 to go and get my ass out of my Barca Lounger and go down to a movie theater to watch it, is somehow deficient from somebody who fucking got a fucking role in The Help 2.
I want you to continue reading the list. I'm not
I will.
saying that their acting in any way isn't deficient. I'm not saying that it is poor. What I'm saying is it's minimum. They're doing
I don't know
what
why,
they're
because
supposed
it's
to
not.
be doing. But if
I don't
you
know
want
why
to put it up there and go that this is the best there is, I don't find it to be that way. Obviously, they're actors, and I think they're good actors. And they're doing what they're playing the role that they're required.
This
to
argument
play.
is subjective. One man's
it
trash is another man's treasure. I
Okay.
find treasure in the ordinary that other people don't. People find trash in the same. I find trash in things that people don't. Other people find treasure in the same. It's all
Okay.
according to your perspective. So
Okay. That's why we have Chadwick Boseman being nominated for T'Challa.
that, you know what, that's fine. I don't agree with it, but there were an awful lot of people who did. Um, Tilda Swinton was nominated for Doctor Strange. Did we review these already? Okay.
Nope. Who's
Okay.
the winner?
For supporting actress, Tilda Swinton won for Doctor Strange as the Ancient One, and I completely agree. She was great. Now, that being said, Betty Buckley was also very good in Split. I can't speak about Bryce Dallas Howard in Gold. Scarlett Johansson in Captain America was not a standout in this category for me. Ghostbusters Kate McKinnon did not see it, but Margot Robbie I thought was also a standout in Suicide Squad. But I would still give the edge to Tilda Swinton because she really made that movie something special beyond Benedict Cumberbatch's cockmouth. So,
Kate
um,
McKinnon for her role in Ghostbusters.
I didn't see the movie. I can't say whether she was good or bad or not. I don't know. Best performance by a younger actor, Tom Holland as Peter Parker in Civil War. Ruby Burnhill as Sophie in the BFG. She was wonderful. Julian Dennison in The Hunt for the Wilder People as Ricky. Lewis McDougall as Connor O'Malley in A Monster Calls. Neil Sethi as Mowgli in The Jungle Book. And Anya Taylor-Joy as the witch as Thomason in The Witch. Who she was also, isn't she also in Split? I believe she's the young girl in Split, and she's also going to be in New Mutants. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
Ricky from The Hunt. I saw all of those movies except the BFG because I don't like watch movies with pedophiles. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Ricky from Hunt for Wilder People.
No, the answer was Tom Holland in Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this a popularity contest? Is that what's going on here? Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like it's popularity.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I did not think that
Okay.
Tom Holland
All
was
right,
that great.
it's fine. It just seems like as though it's kind of trending that way outside of 10 Cloverfield Lane. But okay, fine.
Because
okay.
the Oscars are all based on merit only, 100%.
It's not
okay.
It's you know what? I'm not putting one award over the others. I'm giving my own personal opinion. Going, I don't know if these are the height of artistic people that I've seen in movies. Okay,
fair
that's
enough. All right, best music: La La Land, Justin Hurwitz; The BFG from John Williams; Doctor Strange from Michael Giacchino; Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, James Newton Howard, one of my absolute favorite composers; Passengers from Thomas Newman; and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story from Michael Giacchino. The winner was La La Land. I personally feel like the winner should have been Rogue One: A Star Wars Story from Michael Giacchino, which I loved and thought was completely within the Star Wars oeuvre. And I hope he takes over for John Williams once the inevitable happens and he passes on to the great beyond.
okay.
We've got best editing, best production design. No one really cares that much, I don't think, about these categories. Best costume design, best makeup, best special effects. We've got Rogue One, Arrival, The BFG, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Beasts, and The Jungle Book.
Winner.
Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. As if there was any other choice.
I find that you perk up like a little kid that's got called off from school. That's what you perk up like. All they do is play best categories for movies for 2017. All they got to do is say some shit like Rogue One, Batman versus Superman, Suicide Squad, some sort of musical for you. And you're just like, ooh, they're really getting it right. There's so many choices. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a tie. Rogue One and Batman versus. I don't know.
Wow. Well, then there's the TV categories, which we don't want to bore people to death, so we'll just skip over. Maybe we'll
What
do
was
these next time.
what are some of the main categories? Just tell me what some of the main categories are.
Science fiction TV show, fantasy TV show, horror TV show, action thriller TV show, superhero adaptation TV show.
I want to know the superhero, fantasy, and horror. You got to give me the nominees and the winner, and we'll wrap it up then.
All right, the best superhero adaptation show nominees are Supergirl, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, The Flash, Gotham, and Legion. The winner was Supergirl.
And that's why I stopped watching television. I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm not. I feel like I'm living in a different world when this shit is winning. Like Supergirl, it feels like you know what? This is not my America. That's what I feel like, Bill. It's not my
Well,
America.
it's
What's
not.
changed?
So it's not your America. And let me tell you something else. I brought up with my husband this week that if things continue going as bad as they are going in this country, once we retire and can get our retirement funds mailed anywhere in the world that we want to go to, I'm thinking of moving to Canada. Anyway, um,
It's going to be a long drive for you going across that border to show up at my house for the movie.
oh, I know. I'm just saying. I mean, but you could always come to my house, and there'll be lots of interesting things for you to do in Canada.
Canada. Those were the days. I now have a
Anyway,
girlfriend, but the women in Canada love me. They
okay.
always love me.
Anyway, what was the other one? Horror show.
Horror show.
All right, Walking Dead, American Horror Story, Roanoke. Okay. Ash versus Evil Dead, The Exorcist, Fear of the Walking Dead, Teen Wolf, and The Vampire Diaries.
Winner.
Walking Dead.
Okay. Last category. What was
Science fiction
fantasy?
or fantasy TV show? Which one do you want?
Let's go with fantasy.
Outlander, Beyond, Game of Thrones, The Good Place, Lucifer, The Magicians, and Preacher. And the winner was Outlander.
Science fiction.
Westworld, The 100, Colony, The Expanse, Falling Water, Incorporated, and Timeless.
It's got to be Westworld then, right?
It was.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, well, so we're gonna have to. We'll just have. We have to. I have to read these because they are interesting to me. Action thriller TV show: Riverdale, Animal Kingdom, Bates Motel, Designated Survivor, The Librarians. Really, that's still on. Mr. Robot and The Underground. The winner was Riverdale.
Have you tried Riverdale?
I have not. It seemed well. I would have probably tried it if I knew Twin Peaks was going to be such a fizzle bust, but it seemed derivative of Twin Peaks, the old Twin Peaks to me. So I felt like I'd just wait for the new Twin Peaks. Little did I know it was going to be nothing but David Lynch's fever dream. So the final category I will read will be Best New Media Television Series, which I think means just streaming show, network show. Luke Cage, Stranger Things, Bosch or Bosch, Daredevil, The Man in the High Castle, and a series of unfortunate events. These are all
The
network
Man in
shows.
the High Castle.
No, it was a tie between Luke Cage and Stranger Things.
Okay.
I
feel
can't
like
argue with
people
that. I prefer Luke Cage over Stranger Things, but
I prefer Stranger Things over Luke Cage and prefer Man in a High Castle over all of that, but okay, whatever.
of course, because you're not going to back a show with a black lead character, a black male playing a hero, not a villain or some kind of thug or
I don't
druggie.
vote color unless his name is Barack Obama.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So there's other categories, but we'll just skip those because these aren't really all that interesting. But Supergirl won for Best Actress. Andrew Lincoln won for Best Actor.
Yeah.
As Rick.
You lost me as soon as you said Supergirl. I was already checking out. I was already compiling my papers for the next show.
Wow. Okay. Ed Harris won for Westworld as Best Supporting.
Okay, that's fine.
Millie Bobby Brown won for 11 in Stranger Things as Best Younger Actress. Jeffrey Dean Morgan won for Best Guest Performance in a TV Series as Negan.
I find some of those roles, like when she played in Stranger Things, I found those to be harder because in some of those, the material requires you to convey being scared, being fearful, conveying a lot of different emotions outside of just reading a standard script. Like, what are we doing today? Or what are we having for breakfast, Mom? If the script requires you to be scared or to do something, I think it requires more of you as an actor. I mean, if it requires me to just act like I'm going downstairs and having a conversation with you, I don't find that to be the stretch of anybody's abilities. but to require you to convey something else, it seems more difficult to me.
I
So
have to
for
be
her to
honest.
her role requires a lot more than some of the other kids who just have to sit there and be like, "Hey, did you tell your mom I'm having a sleepover?" I'm sorry. It requires more.
I find Stranger Things to be in the same category as Wonder Woman for me. Overpraised and overhyped.
Oh,
I just,
yeah.
it's okay. I watched it to the end, but can I not wait for the second season? I'm not really clamoring for it.
You're a hater. That's what you are. You're a hater.
I'm not. I just have to be true to my feelings, and sometimes that runs counter to the majority rule. And I don't know if that's an accident or on accidentally on purpose. I don't know if because Stranger Things is super popular that it turns me off.
You
If
know,
that seems to be a
it's
trend.
because you're defective. You can't help it. It's just you're defective. You've got that soap opera gene in you. It prevents you from actually seeing the quality that's out there. You can't help it. It's
Are
who
you
you
telling me
are.
that you cannot wait for season 2 of Stranger Things? Like you are like, oh, when is Stranger Things coming back? Is that how you really
I
feel?
tell you, I tell you what. If Netflix were to charge me an extra couple dollars, I'd cancel my Showtime shit that I bought for Twin Peaks and run straight to Stranger Things. I'm running towards Stranger Things right now because I want to be entertained and enjoy my Sunday nights before I go to work. So yes.
I don't hate the show. I don't dislike the show. I just find it to be
There is not
pedestrian.
many TV shows out there that are actually enjoyable anymore that are thoroughly good for so many episodes. I mean, I wasn't a Legion fan, but outside of like let's say Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, there's not many shows out there that somehow hold my attention. I think are just they're doing it the right way. I'm enjoying Man in
And
the High
Stranger Things does
Castle.
it the right way for you.
It does more right than wrong. Yes, absolutely. And the best part about it is it's a good start. They can actually get better because now all of a sudden there's people backing them. They can do more. They have more freedom. So yes, it's a good start.
I feel like Stranger Things is like the Super 8 of retro
Oh,
TV shows.
okay.
Like it's trying to give you the flavor of your shit that you liked when you were a little kid, like the Goonies and the Spielberg movies and all that. But it somehow comes off to me as derivative. It
It's
doesn't
because you
come off as original. It comes off as, eh.
it's because you find the kids to be ugly. That's what you really are
Well,
saying.
I'm not going to say that doesn't have anything to do with it. But to be
That's so
honest with you,
shallow. So
I
shallow.
mean, the kids
So,
are
so
not
now
that
wait.
attractive.
Okay, now I can see you're saying it's some sort of broke ass, you know, Super
ET.
8.
It feels like a
Okay.
broke ass
Yeah,
ET.
ET. All right, that's fine. Where do you put Supergirl at then in the category of TV shows? Are you
Well,
looking
I
at
don't
that as
watch
being some
Supergirl.
sort of high art,
No.
original filming when Supergirl's going like this? I don't know about my Supergirl outfit. Should I wear it or is like should I go with the skirt or pants model? You
No, I don't.
somehow
I don't watch Supergirl. Tried Supergirl. I didn't like it, so I cut it off my list. So if I'm willing to give Stranger Things 13 episodes and Supergirl got 2, then obviously I think Stranger Things is better.
okay.
But
You're
it's still not where I want it. Would say, oh, that's my favorite hour of television. Like, for example, last night we watched RuPaul's Drag Race and the Haves and the Have-Nots, the Tyler Perry soap opera on OWN Network. And I
okay.
hoot and I hollered and I clapped and I shook my head and me and my husband were high fiving and we were just like, this show is crazy. It's crazy. That's the same thing when we would watch Gotham. It's like I don't understand how they pull this shit off. It doesn't. It make a goddamn lick of sense. But I'll be hot damned if I'm not entertained. I mean, I just gotta call it what it is. Maybe it's not to everybody's liking, but I'm telling you now, Gotham gives me all the Batman feels I ever wanted.
All right. You ready to wrap this up, my friend?
I am. I'm ready to go take a bath, sit my ass in a tub with some bubbles, and read a magazine.
I'm going to a opening tonight.
Oh, right. What are you opening?
I think it's called like Saucy Balls or something like that. Saucy
Is it a
Brew.
play? Is it a play?
Saucy Brew. It's an opening brewery. It's
On a Sunday?
yeah, it's a soft opening. And so
Does she have a friend or something that's owning
the
it?
one
Or
friend I used to work with was able to get me some tickets to go there um, to try out the new restaurant.
I was gonna say because you don't even really drink anymore. So what are you gonna do?
Well, no, I'll go in there and have like half a beer or
Okay.
something and get like a free appetizer and take my woman out.
Oh,
You
there we
know,
go. I knew the word free was in there somewhere, or your ass wouldn't be going nowhere on a Sunday. Okay. Now
yes,
it all makes sense.
it would be Chipotle and Fences and our Train Spotting 2 for my evening. You're correct.
Okay. All right.
I
Fair
actually
enough.
think I'd rather just go rent the Power Rangers and watch it, to be quite honest
Oh,
with you.
let me express this to you 100% unequivocally and wholeheartedly. You would not. You think you would, and I thought I would too. But trust me when I tell you, you don't have that much time left in your
I'm
life
not going to get
to
my
waste on that.
$4 back. All right, that's fine. Okay, for the weekend ending of June 30th, and welcome to July 2nd. I should have played some sort of, America the Beautiful or America the Great song or
Oh,
whatever
it's
else.
4th of July week. What are you guys doing for the 4th?
My woman's going to help me replace my ceiling over my back deck.
Woo! We got any sparklers for that? Or
Yeah. You know what? My woman's old school. I like it that way. She's just like, yeah.
I mean, is there nothing else you could do that on another day and maybe have some hot dogs and hamburgers and cook out, maybe have our kids over, watch a
You
patriotic
know what?
movie
We
like
might have some hot dogs on the grill. That sounds good. But to be quite honest, we had a full weekend. See, what you fail to realize, there was a full weekend right there.
I
So
understand,
maybe
but you know what? The whole point of having a holiday in the middle of the week is so you can have 2 weekends in a week.
I find that you look for any excuse where you can just sit there and put your feet up and pop in your movie, and you're like, it's 4th of July. That means I don't do anything on the 4th except eat food and have a cocktail.
Well, that's what I do all every weekend. But when there's a holiday in the middle of the week, that adds an extra weekend to my week.
Right, right,
So
right.
my husband's working overtime because he gets paid like triple time and a half or some nonsense like that. So because
Oh, he's going to be
I
busy on the 4th, I imagine. The 4th is going to
right,
be a
I'm
busy
gonna have
day
a
for him.
double. I'm gonna do a double feature. I'm gonna watch Patriotic Captain America: The First Avenger with that fine ass Chris Evans shaking that ass. And I'm going to be waving a little American flag and having a cocktail. And then for my evening repertoire, I will be watching my favorite 4th of July movie. It's a patriotic, nonsensical craziness. Michael Bay's Armageddon,
Oh, wow.
which is nothing but a cheese fest, but it's my favorite 4th of July movie because it's just ridiculously American.
You know what? I'm not that it matters what I think, but that's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
get you on that.
yeah,
It's like Die Hard for Christmas with me.
right.
I gotcha. You don't want to go with Independence Day with Will Smith?
Ah, I'm going to go with no. Ah,
All right.
I don't like Independence Day. I never did like that movie.
I got
I
you. But
always felt like it
Armageddon,
was
you've always liked Armageddon. That's a good
yeah,
choice
because
right
it's
there. It's
my
got
type of cheese. It's my
old
type of
actors.
cheese.
It's got Ben Affleck. Well, who
Looking
else has got
fine,
Bruce
fine, fine.
Bruce Willis?
Yeah,
It's got a whole host of actors in there. I can't
yeah.
think of
It's
all of them.
total cheese and it's total crap, but it's like the perfect movie to watch on 4th of July. Because
You know, they were showing earlier today. I like it was Cliffhanger with Sly Stallone. Do you remember that?
I never saw it, but I heard of it. Yeah.
But it's that type of movie for me. Armageddon, like they don't make them really like that anymore. They seem to be too manufactured now. But there's a whole level of cheese of where it's like, what are we? We're oil workers. We're gonna go save the world by landing a nuke on a flying meteor. That's what my men are gonna do.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of like, okay, well, this seems ridiculous, but this is what we're gonna go with. So let's just go with it. I
Right.
mean, it's
It's
cliffhanger.
Michael Bay cheesy, like right at the level of cheesy that's acceptable to me, whereas Transformers is just beyond the level of cheesy that I can accept. So it's Michael Bay, but it's not like crazy off the chain, off the wall, doesn't make any sense, and I can't follow the fucking action Michael Bay.
I imagine if I were sitting in a Michael Bay meeting where he was coming up with like script writing and they were writing dialogue, I would just probably want to just like slit my throat. I just want to bash my head against the wall, everything that happens. He'd be like, yes, that's a great line. It's a great line. Anyway, number one movie for this weekend, right before the July 4th, is Despicable Me 3.
Oh, God. Spare us all.
Yeah, $75 million. P.S. The budget is $80 million.
Oh, God.
It's made $116 million overseas, so it's already up to $200 million. Yeah. Steve Carell's rolling in it.
I don't care for those films. I never did. I didn't like the first one.
So why it was making all the domestic money over here in America, number two was Baby Driver, Edgar Wright's opus, if you will.
Well, I guess he showed Marvel, huh?
Yeah. He brought in $30 million. The budget of the film is $34 million.
Well, looks like he's going to be having a filmmaking future ahead of him. Good for him.
And not to mention, he's getting some sort of kudos from all the, what's the word? Reviewers, critics, pundits.
Well, I guess Marvel has a little bit of egg on their face with that, but I mean, I don't suppose they really are lamenting their fortune that they made, small fortune that they made on Ant-Man, so it all works out in the end.
And coming in at number three, your boy, Michael Bay, in a series of movies that just won't fucking die, Transformers: The Last Night pulled in $17 million in its second week of release.
That seems awful small for a second week, considering how big the movie is.
For its second week?
Yeah.
Yeah. It made all its money apparently last week domestically.
It didn't really even make that much money. People were saying it didn't make that much last week.
Oh, no. It only made $100 million. But unfortunately, all the foreigners are pouring their cash into this crap fest, so it's up to $429 million worldwide. There you go.
Transformers 6! Second to last night. Last nitrous. I don't know. Something's got to hold up those fucking movie theaters.
Fired up. I think Mark Wahlberg was going. He was talking like he's done with it.
Sure. Meanwhile, the Brinks truck is going beep 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 beep, and he's like, "What do I sign? I'm back, bitches."
Apparently America's over it, but overseas they can't get enough of the giant robots. Number four,
thing that's happened
in its fifth week of release is Wonder Woman. There you go. Now the highest grossing domestically movie in the DCEU. Its worldwide total is hovering around $708 million. The question is, will it catch and or surpass Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice?
I believe it's already surpassed BVS domestic. Yeah,
but not
now
total.
The question is, will it get to $1 billion?
Yeah,
I think I'd love for that to happen. I wish it was for a movie that I felt deserved it, but you know, maybe it speaks well for what people will do for Justice League. I hope so.
Well, yeah. Well, technically, I feel as though Batman versus Superman should have hit those numbers. I think everybody thought that too, and it should. But whatever. Good word of mouth is better than bad word of mouth. In the fifth movie for this weekend, something I just cannot stand on all sorts of levels, Cars 3.
Scars 3? What happened to Scars 1 and 2? Did I miss something?
I said Cars.
Oh, Cars, right.
It pulled in $9 million in its third week of release from the Mouse House, and it is up to worldwide $173 million.
That's not a lot of money. That's
what it costs is not yet revealed.
Well, I can tell you it's about 150, and that's very, I would think, low considering it's a Pixar film. I don't know.
Cars 3.
I understand, but they made Cars 1 and 2, so there had to be enough money in the coffers for them to justify a third one, and I bet you it was more than that much money.
Instead of working on something like the fucking Incredibles, we're actually working on a Cars movie. I'm sorry. This is just This is another franchise. This is probably the last movie of Cars.
Well, for 173 million, I would not be surprised. I'm very kind of shocked about it.
Thank heavens. By the way, not making the cut and beating out Cars 3 in its third week of release was The House.
I never even heard of it.
Oh, you've heard of it. It's with Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler.
Still not ringing a bell.
You didn't see the trailer? Are you living in a box over there? I mean,
I guess I'm living in a,
okay. Well, apparently
virtual
Will Ferrell
box.
was only good enough for $9 million.
Oh, okay.
You're 47 meters down.
Yeah.
Your 90-minute fiasco with the Sharks brought in another couple million, so it brings its total to $32 million. I'm hoping that's a win for them.
Ouch. I mean, the Sharks looked good. There was a lot of CG Sharks in there that looked really good. But, the script really wasn't there. I mean...
The Mummy, in its fourth week of release, brought in an extra $3 million for its domestic gross over the past 4 weeks for $74 million.
I don't know about that Dark Universe. Seems
it made $275 million overseas for $350 million on a $125 million budget. Is that enough to keep it going?
Maybe.
I think it's a sign that they need to. If there is any sign that they need to change things, I would say that's a big sign. For Batman versus Superman, no. Amazing Spider-Man 2, you could have tweaked it. I don't think you had to get rid of it. But right now, for the Mummy domestically, there's got to be some big changes.
Well, they've got plenty of time. I don't think the next movie is even started filming yet, so.
Okay. And that kind of concludes it out there. I don't see anything else of note that makes anything more interesting than not. Bill's coming up for this weekend for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Homecoming, bitches. And we won't be reporting on it until the following week, right? Because we're scheduled for 2 weeks out. Unless you want to do a special episode.
You're correct. We're not going to do a special episode because I can't get my shit together, and I don't want Superfan Melissa looking at me going, "Come on, guys. Come on."
Okay.
All right, Bill. It's been a pleasure. You got anything else to throw out there? You can always hit us up at popularcinemapodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at popcinemacast. Right?
Yep, that's Pop CinemaCast on Twitter, or at Pop CinemaCast.
I mean, we are always dropping lots of tweets. Bill's on there all the time, sitting out there spouting knowledge.
That's not very nice.
All right. Bill, you enjoy your evening. I've been your most lovable and enthused host, Payne.
I'm Bill.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Thank you.